ministry. Good morning, shalom. All right, y'all, happy Tuesday. It is December the 13th, 2022, day 287 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets under the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1307. Today we pick back up in Oahspe in 7. Yeah, my Facebook is going in and out. That's going to bug me. I guess I might just have to share the video from the live from YouTube today. Hopefully we won't go in and out over here. All right, y'all. And everybody else hanging out in the background this morning, top of the day to you. All right, y'all. Chapter 3 in the book of Sue, page 89 on the Oahspe. Hold on. Father, we thank you that you are always present and near. Okay. Jehovah spake through Sue, saying, Mine is a strong government and everlasting. Hearken to the wisdom of your Creator, O my sons and daughters, wherein have I not given liberty to all people? He that doeth aright, wherein is he not free? He that doeth a wrong, wherein hath he liberty? Whoever endeavor to surpass himself, have I not shown him his limit? I created man at 0, but for him to add unto himself forever. Liberty I gave him to add only that which perfecteth his soul. Wherefore, if he eat poison, it taketh from him his body which I gave. Herein made I a boundary, both on earth and in heaven, which is to say, inasmuch as man accumulateth virtue, wisdom, patience, love, truth, and pure words, he is free. Because in so doing he followeth me and my good works. But he that seeketh to glorify himself in his possessions bindeth himself, because he is unlike me. For I gave all, and thus made the universe. 2 states, therefore, have I created open to all men, both on earth and in atmosphere, which are liberty and bondage. And man I made to choose that which he will, but that he might not err. Behold, I send my emancipated angels to explain these things beforehand. Even so are governments ordained by my holy ones, wherein ye may judge whether a government be of me or against me. For if it give liberty to all righteous works, and for the promotion of knowledge, providing teachers to the extent of the demand, it is of me. But if the government maketh itself a self, for which its aggrandizement is at the expense of my children's liberty, then it is against me. For I have not created a people to be today as were their forefathers, but provided them with perpetual growth in wisdom and virtue. Wherefore the rising generations shall rebel against that which was well and good for their forefathers. All my governments understand this, whether on earth or in heaven. Whatever government accepteth not this rule shall go down to destruction. For as I have hedged man about with sentinels, such as pestilence, poverty, and hunger, in order to awake him to knowledge and industry, so have I hedged in all governments under the sun with sentinels, such as rebellion and assassinations and war and bankruptcy. As pestilence proveth man's disobedience to my commandments, so do rebellion and anarchy prove the disobedience of governments to the progressive spirit which I created man. That was good. That was a mouthful, but that was good. Make us take a second look, rather, at certain governments, especially our own here. Let me read that one more time. Let me go back to verse 4. No, I'm going to go to 3. 2 states, therefore, have I created open to all men, both on earth and in atmosphere, which are liberty and bondage. And man I made to choose that which he will, but that he might not err. Behold, I send my emancipated angels to explain these things beforehand. Even so are governments ordained by my holy ones, wherein ye may judge whether a government be of me or against me. For if it give liberty to all righteous works, and for the promotion of knowledge, providing teachers to the extent of the demand, it is of me. But if government maketh itself a self, for which its aggrandizement is at the expense of my children's liberty, then it is against me. Yeah, right. You know what, that would be something amazing to do, Faith is Ministry. They said, let's buy a ranch and come together, our own government after this model. That would be that would be amazing if ninjas knew how to work together. I watch different shows. That's what happened with Shalom, right? People try to separate. Not saying that it can't be done, because some people do it for a very long time successfully. But there's always issues that kind of crop up out the midst of it. And then years later, we hear about this big scandal going on inside of this little secret community of people where it's only these type of people of this type of faith that live. And it tends to like turn into a cult or something, right? I love the separation from the foolishness, right? But sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes, I don't know how to word this. There should be a separation, right? But not so much of a separation where we can't be a light unto the other people who need help, right? Which is why we're always scattered. The good is always scattered amongst the bad, to be a light, to raise them up higher, right? I don't know. But like you can even see it down at the lowest levels of the family, right? Living within neighborhoods of other families. That's how it's supposed to be. And then those within the community, good and bad, they affect one another, either for the good or for the bad, right? We should all be living according to our highest light, growing, being a good example to everybody else. But I think it's a really good idea. It always has been, right? But it just kind of seems to go awry, because I think there's just like our body shuts out. Well, I say not even the lowest level. We can look at, let's just look at our body, right? We got a lot of good and parts separated, right? But within this whole body, we have bacteria that flows in certain places. Matter of fact, medical even labels it good bacteria and bad bacteria. But you need a good balance of healthy bacteria flowing in your body to keep your body operating appropriately, right? It is weird, right? But it's all comprised here together with the other body parts. Some are a little bit closer to those parts, right? They give life, and the other part excretes death, right? But it's connected to everything else. And then the I ain't gonna say the better parts, but the parts that have different positions that's seen more, they seem to be a little bit more separated. I mean, because you can't talk to somebody looking dirty or like smelling dirty. Everything has its, I hope I ain't screwing up. Everything has its place, right? So I think community should be together, where you got shenanigans and those that don't engage in shenanigans so much, right? Because they can help the shenaniganizers. It's just, I don't know, I'm looking at all of this in a different light now. It's like, yeah, I'm going over here, but you over here now, you're doing good. What help can you be other than yourself? And sometimes you get the big head, you think you're above everybody else, and you got, I don't know. I think it's good sometimes to mingle. I ain't gonna say mingle with the riffraff, but maybe you should pass through their neighborhood and engage in some of their events from time to time to help bring them up to a higher, like, oh man, I ain't gotta be selling drugs. Like, it's people that'll give me a high paying job if I just increase my skills. Oh, so yeah, balance. Thank you, Jaway. That's the word I was looking for. There's a balance, right? And I think there's a holy balance allowed by Creator, because we can see it everywhere. you know. So, but I think it's a good idea. Maybe for a certain period of time, you should be separated. But then, like I said, you gotta come back. Like somebody that go off to school, you separated for a little while, right? But now you come back. What'd you go to school for? How was what you were separated for this period of time going to help you raise us up? Even you can see it in religious stories or whatever. You have prophets that are raised up and they're separated for a time so they can grow and develop with the Creator, but they can't stay in there always. Like, oh, get up out my face now. Go on out here and do something. The Creator be like, go on out here and do something now. You in my face all day, but I'm talking to you, pouring this all into you so you can help them. All right, so your time of separation, still be separate when you go out amongst the riffraff. You know, you check in, you know. We come do our 1-2 fellowship or whatever, but you go out there, help them so I can help them help themselves so I can help them, because they ain't listening to me. So I need to put somebody in their face that they can see, right? You know, I think everything has its time and place. Just like children, we separate them from the world for a little while, for 18 years. As they get older, we allow them a little bit more independence to go out and mingle. If they stay separated unto themselves, they become like hermits. You know, it's like, who is that? That guy is weird. He never talks. And, you know, things begin to lack when you're separated for too long. You know, I don't know. I just think about it a little bit differently now, you know, so. Yeah, we live in our own community, but go do good, but go back home, right? You know, so we are supposed to be separate. It says so all through Oahspe and Nazarene literature, right? You're separate, but you can't just be like separate all the time. If I'm saying that correctly, maybe I'm not saying that correctly. I hope my example kind of explained it a little bit, like with the child being separated, being born. We separate you for a time. We got to teach you some things, grow up. And when we put you out there, you're going to be in the midst of kind of like everybody else. But you have to hold to the personal separation of growth and teaching that we gave you, because when you go out there, you can, you know, as they get on with their life, like I said, they can be a part of the community, a productive part of the community to help raise somebody else up, right? There's separation, but I'm probably screwing that up. I hope y'all get what I'm trying to explain to y'all. There should always be a separation. Sometime, even in the midst of it, I hope y'all get what I'm saying. I ain't gonna keep beating a dead horse. I hope y'all get what I'm saying. Hold on, Jamil. So maybe we should have a set apart community and then set goals to help other areas community. Yeah. That's, you explain it a little bit better than I just did. Yeah, exactly, Jamil. What she said. Just like, right. Yeah, we see it everywhere. The levels of separation, earth, atmosphere, ether, right? But they come and they engage. They start here, but at a certain time they are separated. And there are some times that you are separated and you don't go back, but you still have to go back somewhere with your skills to teach those that are coming behind you. Yeah, it's like this perpetual growth cycle, right? So, okay. Yeah. Dawn Schroeder, shalom. We got 2 Dawns in the house. Okay, hey Dawns, hey girls, hey. Hana, shalom. Yeah, okay, so let me go back. Verse 3, we're on page 89. 2 states, therefore, have I created open to all men, both on earth and in atmosphere, which are liberty and bondage. And man I made to choose that which he will, but that he might not err. Behold, I send my emancipated angels to explain these things beforehand. Even so are governments ordained by my holy ones, wherein ye may judge whether a government be of me or against me. For if it give liberty to all righteous works, and for the promotion of knowledge, providing teachers to the extent of the demand, it is of me. But if the government maketh itself a self, for which its aggrandizement is at the expense of my children's liberty, then it is against me. For I have not created a people to be today as were their forefathers, but provided them with perpetual growth in wisdom and virtue. Wherefore the rising generations shall rebel against that which was well and good for their forefathers. All my governments understand this, whether on earth or in heaven. Whatever government accepteth not this rule shall go down to destruction. For as I have hedged man about with sentinels, such as pestilence, poverty, and hunger, in order to awaken him to knowledge and industry, so have I hedged in all governments under the sun with sentinels, such as rebellions and assassinations and war and bankruptcy. As pestilence proveth man's disobedience to my commandments, so do rebellion and anarchy prove the disobedience of governments to the progressive spirit with which I created man. That's good. The self-God saith, I will make a strong government by armies, and cruel masters will I bind the subjects in my dominions. And he draweth up a multitude of laws, and heapeth up books to explain the laws, and findeth judges to explain the books that explain the laws. And he saith, Behold, how wise I am. Behold the great wisdom of my judges. Behold the great learning of my books. Behold my most perfect laws. Behold my armies that stand behind all and in great power. But lo, a star appeareth in heaven, and all his fabric goeth as a spider's web. For instead of choosing his creator, who is strong, he erected things that were as nothing. Hear thy creator, O my God, for through my son I bequeath a new light to the lower heaven. For as thou hast proportioned to the self-gods to take kingdoms, suffer them to hedge themselves about with a multitude of laws. But thou thyself shalt have no laws, save the rites and ceremonies, which thou shalt adorn with music and processions. It shall come to pass that the dominions of self-gods will prosper for a season, and they will, for the sake of self-glory, deplete the earth people of familiar spirits and feudals. But in time after, their subjects will tire of the laws of the self-gods, and hearing that thou hast no laws, save rites and ceremonies, they will come to whore it of their own accord. Henceforth then shalt thou convert the nurseries and hospitals and factories and places of education into places of delight and recreation. The voice ceased, but Sue said, Behold, a time cometh in all the atmospherean heavens when the discipline of former days must give way to something new, and such a time is now in this kingdom. It may be likened to a young child that hath been led by the hand for a long time, but now hath become strong of limb so as to walk alone. For this purpose hath the earth been bought through the field of Israel, and my hosts are come with music and wisdom. Hear then my decree, O God of earth, and thou shalt be the most blessed of gods. Send thy messengers into all parts of the atmosphere, proclaiming a recreation of 10 days of music and dancing and marching with pageantry and feasting, to be in Horeb in the first of the moon of Japheth. The rest I leave to the Father, for he will provide us in the time thereof. And whilst the time is coming, I will go around the earth with my host in my Ethereal ship. God said, I perceive thy wisdom, O Jehovah. In thy decrees am I raised up with new wisdom and power. Oh, that I could have devised a way for them before they fell so low. Su called the council and his own host from labor to recreation for one day, and the people mingled together rejoicing. For of the Etherians with hosts of Su were many who had been earthborn many thousands of years before, and their assurance of the emancipated heavens above had greater weight with the atmospherians than anything that others could say. Then Su and his host visited the earth and her heavens, and after that returned again to Horeb. Great Spirit, shalom, shalom, peace and blessings. Animalistic nature, shalom. Oh, that's good, right, Avia? Sometimes we have to be in the midst of them to let them see. Hold on, yeah. Sometimes we have to be in the midst of them to let them see and not just telling them, right? Yes, there's Good, right? Jamil said examples must be given, right? Because you don't know if you don't have a model. Otherwise, you just kind of turn to yourself and look for all the answers from yourself when you need something a little bit higher than self. All right, y'all, chapter 4, page 90. We're in the book of Su, son of Jehovah. When the time of the festival had come, there congregated in Horeb, besides the Etherian host, more than 1,000,000,000 souls to witness and to participate in the ceremonies. Su said, "Here's wisdom and folly, false gods and their dupes, laziness and industry, swiftness and sloth. Yea, here is a world worthless before Jehovah. And why? Simply for lack of discipline and harmony. Everyone is for self, and none are producers for the general good. Alas, they are the same as mortals, but stripped of flesh." Woo. Sheesh. Imagine that being said of you. You done already spent your time in the flesh, right? You was there shenaniganizing and you come here, you about good for nothing right now. We're going to leave you down there in Hotter till you can learn how to raise yourself up and the others around you. Verse 2, and why? Simply for a lack of discipline and harmony. Everyone is for self, and none are producers for the general good. Alas, they are the same as mortals, but stripped of flesh. They have no value to one another, and consequently of no value to themselves. Now will I show thee, O God, that these hapless beings with no joy in life nor hope of resurrection shall become a great glory to the Father in his kingdoms. God said, "Pity them, O Father. It is over 1,000 years since they have been visited by the higher heaven. Many of them are learned, but doubting if there be other heavens, save the plateau of the atmosphere of the earth. Millions and millions of them have never seen an Etherian. Alas, I fear for them." Su said, "Fear not, O God. They are as mortar in my hands. Neither shall there be preaching to them, nor praying for them. They are tired of these things. But I will found a new light amongst them, and it shall speak for us. Hear me then, and with the populace I shall be as one that is unknown. Call then thy Essenars and thy trumpeters and harpists, and all the musicians belonging to thy kingdom and to the kingdoms of thy lords, and let the procession begin. For in all public matters, those who are at the front, if wise, can lead on forever. Be politic, therefore, and shape the populace, while the self gods are amazed at the immensity of the host assembled. God did as commanded, and the people saw there was a head to the proceedings. Su said, "Send thy marshals and decorators to follow close after the musicians, distributing raiment to all who will follow in the procession. My Etherian hosts are advised. They will stand by the way, and with marvelous swiftness provide the raiment, and all possible extravagant colors and fabrics, and hats and ornaments shall be distributed gratuitously. My hosts shall be arrayed in plain white, and they shall march not, but be as servants and workmen. And after my host shall be arrayed." After arrayed is reference number 3, and at the bottom it says arranged. Oh, that's good. Avia said, "My mother always says, I'd rather see a sermon any day than to hear one," right? Well, even they say right here, look, they tired of hearing about this stuff. They tired of hearing about it's a good community over here and there. They want to see. They want to see so they can be. Let me see so I can be, right? Don't just keep telling me about it. We sick of it. We had it up to here with the words. For in all public matters, those who are at the front, if wise, can lead on forever. Be politic, therefore, and shape the populace, whilst the self-gods are amazed at the immensity of the host assembled. God did as commanded, and the people saw there was a head to the proceedings. Su said, "Send thy marshals and decorators to follow close after the musicians, distributing raiment to all who will follow in the procession. My Etherian hosts are advised. They will stand by the way, and with marvelous swiftness provide the raiment, and all possible extravagant colors and fabrics and hats and ornaments shall be distributed and gratuitously. My host shall be arrayed in plain white, and they shall march not, but be as servants and workmen. And when the atmospherians have played and sung over all the boundaries of Horeb, and then shall my Ethereal band sing and play and start the dance. All these things were done, and from the very start to the termination of the music, there was harmony in every place and corner amongst the 1,000 millions assembled. Nor was there ever so extravagantly equipped a multitude of the earth's heaven. And so completely captivated were the people. Their enthusiasm was boundless. Then came the Ethereal dance, the which so far surpassed the capacity of the atmospherians that not one could join in. Neither could they take part in the Ethereal music. So the atmospherians looked on, confounded by the excellence of that which was before their eyes. Thus ended the first day's proceedings, to which to describe in full would require a large book. So people were called to refreshment, and the Ethereans, still dressed in white, and as servants and laborers, provided the vivens. They had previously made convenience for a supply of material, and so easily and with such swiftness did they their work, and now for the first time did the more learned of atmosphere begin to observe them with surprise and wonder. That is good. Look, I just thought about something. That's real fast. They was moving so fast that they didn't even know that they was there, right? Until they began to pay attention, and they began to slow down a little bit, and they began to observe them and how fast they move. Listen, I'll go back to verse 9. So the atmospherians looked on, confounded by the excellence of that which was before their eyes. Thus ended the first day's proceedings, which to describe in full would require a large book. So the people were called to refreshment, and the Ethereans, still dressed in white, and as servants and laborers, provided the viands. For they had previously made convenience for a supply of material, and so easily and with such swiftness did they their work, that now for the first time did the more learned of atmosphere begin to observe them with surprise and wonder. Kind of like when we get a little bit more understanding of this creation the Father has created and put before us. Things they still awe us, are like, wow, right? But as you get a little bit older and you learn the process of things don't seem like a miracle to you anymore, or things that are like, oh my gosh, that had to have been something supernatural, right? The same way children look at all with certain things that adults do and things that happen in the sky. Oh my gosh, there is a Santa Claus. No, it's not, baby. There is no such thing, right? And Bella's at the point, like, when we go out, they see Christmas stuff everywhere, right? Now we still celebrate holidays, but we don't do it with all, we don't tell the pagan stories or anything like that, right? But we do, but we try to let them understand that this season is not just for heaping up presents upon people, right? So we try to teach them to be selfless and everything. But even though I homeschool, they're in the midst of other children who are not homeschooled. We go to different events and they play in sports and stuff. It's a mix of children that are homeschooled and that go to school, right? They're separate, but they come together for certain things and they grow and they learn from one another, right? So she's kind of like going through this phase where she still thinks Santa Claus is real. Now, we don't talk about Santa Claus, but she see it when she watch TV, and we try to explain to her, baby, there is no Santa Claus. And her brothers get kind of perturbed with her. Bella, there is not a Santa Claus. You believing in child stories. And I'm like, explain that to her a little bit more, but she can believe it. Bella will fight all day with them, trying to tell them that there is a Santa Claus. Even when I break it down and I show her the scene, is still, for some reason, she really think that this is a real person. And sure, you can dress up like them, but there is really one. I'm like, okay, we'll just give you a little bit more time to process this. As you get a little bit older and your thinking develops, you'll begin to understand what we're trying to explain to you, right? So we just show a little bit of patience to sis, right? I'm like, girl, what is you talking about? Plus, my grandson, look, here's what's crazy. He also believed, and they both 6 years old. They both believe, but Bella constantly gets bombarded with truth from her brothers and from us. And I do it in a way where, I ain't be like, girl, ain't no Santa Claus. I ain't, she's a baby, right? She's still a baby, right? So I just kind of expose her to some things, when I see it's becoming overwhelming and she get frustrated. All right, boo, let's go get some ice cream. Okay, and she changed the subject right now, right? But here's what's crazy. My grandson, Jace, like I said, they're the same age. They're the same size. You would think they were twins, right? They look so much alike. He also believes in Santa Claus. But when he comes over and he starts talking about Santa Claus, here go Bella. Santa Claus is not real. What? And so now Bella and Jace is having these conversations. Two that still believe in Santa Claus, believe that Santa Claus is this real person. But Bella, even though she still kind of believe like Jace, she kind of on the fence. She teetering. She don't know which side to pull to. So when Jace come over, she kind of gravitate to what she done heard her brothers and us try to teach her. And she just like real, ain't no Santa Claus, Jace. Ain't no Santa Claus. And Jace is like almost distraught. I'm like, okay, so see, because he goes to public school. And so they're around things, and his mom's side of the family, they still like full blown celebrating, yes, Christmas tree and all this stuff. And when they come over here, yeah, we're gonna decorate. It's gonna be lights, it's gonna be festive, but without some of the things that lead you to believe on in lies, right? We want to keep the family, the togetherness, the celebration portion, but we want to separate it from the lies that have been paired with it to get you all chopped and screwed in your thinking as you grow up, right? So he trying to balance, but Bella, she kind of almost like shows no mercy to Jace. Like, there ain't no Santa Claus, Jace. I'm like, sis, we was just having this conversation and I was in your shoes and you trying to tell him. And you arguing us down that there is. It's funny. Yeah, I believed at 10 till I saw mommy coming in, hiding my gifts. Right? It has to be some type of awakening. Like, I don't want to say slap in the face awakening, but there has to be some kind of jolting scene that everything finally clicks in. Like, wait a minute. It really ain't no Santa Claus. We've been only telling you this for the last 40 years. And it's like, so wait, all this time? So what was happening to the cookies and milk? Man, your daddy ate it and drunk it up. What? Yes, it's funny because my nieces that was over here this weekend, one of them believes, one of them truly understands. Well, I don't know. The one that's a little bit older, how old is Jordan? I think Jordan is 10. She's 9 or 10. Them two kind of like Bella and Jace going back and forth. And my sister was telling me the other day, they're talking about something. Listen, y'all gonna put out some, I think what she said, they was gonna put out some cookies and eggnog. Cookies and eggnog. My sister going through the same thing. Oh my gosh. What you gonna set the cookies and eggnog out for? For Santa. How many times we gotta have this conversation? Well, we put it out last year. We ate it and drunk it up. No, you didn't. Well, put it out again. And you put out the cookies and eggnog. Yeah, Santa gonna eat it up, all right. And it's gonna be me. And TT over here. TT gonna help me. Me and TT gonna be Santa Claus. We gonna eat up these cookies and drink this eggnog, right? So you gotta be patient, especially, and you gotta be patient with people also coming out of indoctrination. It's the same thing. Yes, it is a Santa Claus. Yes, it is a Jesus. I'm like, okay, right? Okay, so let's keep all the good things, and you just gotta be patient. Just move along, right? Sometimes their beliefs they stick for a while until they really understand. Oh snap! So I don't need this middleman. I can really just talk directly to the Father. That's what we've been trying to tell you all along, right? It's the same thing. It's the story of Santa all over every religion. They just name the characters something different. Look. Okay. Who we at? 37 minutes. Let's finish this chapter. It is 31 verses. Okay. Verse 11. Presently, inquiries were made as to who they were and whence they came. Talking about the swift messengers, they just realized, that's how I got, I started saying all that, that they began, as they began to slow down, and the ones that said those who were hired learned, began to see them for the first time and how fast they move. Oh, it's not just miracles, clothes just appearing out of nowhere. Nope, slow it down really, 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 really slow. You will see that they're there bringing the answers and all of this stuff to you, right? Listen, let me just read it again. Verse 9. So the atmospherians looked on, confounded by the excellence of which was before their eyes. Thus ended the first day's proceedings, to which to describe in full would require a large book. So the people were called to refreshment. And the Etherians, still dressed in white, and as servants and laborers, provided the viands. For they had previously made convenience for a supply of material, and so easily and with such swiftness did they their work, that now for the first time did the more learned of Atmosphere began to observe them with surprise and wonder. Presently, inquiries were made as to who they were and whence they came. For so Jehovah created man, that when of his own accord he admireth the excellence of his neighbor, he goeth to the extreme in praising him. So God said, on the morrow shall a new entertainment be given, and new raiment and new viands for the feast. And the host shouted with great vigor and praise. Then the people mingled together to converse on all they had witnessed. Neither comprehended they the object, save for pleasure only. When the next day came, the Etherians had been divided into groups, and the rites of the ancients and of the hosts of Oahspe and Partha were announced, requiring extravagant toilets and millions of atmospherians as assistants. So great was their ambition to take part that only by promises of something in the next rites could the marshals make selections. Su, Jehovah's son, had previously stationed signal bells at remote distances from one another, but connected them so that the sounds would answer quickly. And in the intervening places, extemporized forests and waterfalls were arranged, and near the middle space 1,000 columns of fire were erected. So on the morning of the second day, when all these glorious scenes were completed, and the Etherians, still plain and in all white, stationed about, the Atmospherians were more confounded than ever, and more loudly shouting in their praise. First came birth rites, then marriage rites, then death rites, and the first resurrection, then the rites of harmony. And the play represented 1,000,000 of Etherians who went to a corporal world and followed it through to its life and to death and resurrection, and its darkness and in harmony and terrible suffering and atmosphere, ending with a tableau, 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 I think, of a great sun of light descending to deliver them into everlasting paradise. So grand was the spectacle, and so sublime the music and the spoken words, that the host of Horrid wept and laughed and shouted and prayed as if their souls would break with joy. Thus ended the second day, and so complete was the glorious work that every soul had sworn a solemn oath to forsake the earth and the lower heaven forever. See what wisdom they used to get them to separate themselves, right? Now, here's the separation. These guys needed to be separated because they had been, there were multiple levels of separation happening, and so much separation so much that it was a detriment to them. And let me explain that. It was a detriment to them because they kept themselves separated for so long that they had even began to forget that there was things higher than them, which is how they progressed and turned into false gods, right? And started leading others astray, right? So you need to be interacting with somebody of higher wisdom. So now what they had to do to raise them up, they really had to wow them. They weren't like pulling their leg or trying to pull the wool over their eyes, but they were using their wisdom to help open their eyes from their delusion, right? Their delusion of separation, that there's nobody higher than us, that it made them want to connect again. Like, we're gonna separate. We separated ourselves from higher learning, but now we got to go. We got to separate ourselves from y'all so that we can go and connect ourselves over here, right, and be raised up. So they're separating from here because they can't do any more good right now at the state they're at the level and the wisdom that they have, right? So they have to be impacted by higher learning. So then once that happens, they're actually sent back and begin to raise up the ones they led astray, because you ain't getting out of this. You still got some work here, but we're gonna separate you for just a little bit, and then we're gonna bring you back, and we're gonna bring everybody up, right? Set Apart said Santa is Odin. Now, we went through all the book Fossilized Customs. I said I was gonna reshare that a few weeks ago, and I don't remember that I ever reshared it. I had to do it later today. Fossilized Customs. If you get Fossilized Customs, it is really good, and we read through that. It's been almost a couple years now, probably a little bit over a couple years. We actually read through that, and inside of it, it gives you the history of all of the different holidays, how they were started, the different false gods they were named after, and like all of this stuff is really, really good. It's so much detail and so many references in there. It's mind blowing. So, but I would recommend y'all get that if y'all, I know a lot of people do a bunch of videos and stuff, but I thought that was really good. And was it Lou White that did that? Don't quote me. I think it was Lou White that did. Hold on. I think I got it. It might be on my other bookcase. I think it's on one of my other bookcases. Yeah. Just look up Fossilized Customs. If you like fossilized customs, right? All these things from the ancient days and practices, and a lot of this stuff made its way into the church, and they don't realize that a lot of stuff they're doing comes from rituals and stuff from people that they talk about and talk against, but you're doing the same thing they do. For real, I think you're their cousin. Right? You just denying them, but you're doing the same thing they do. Right? Lou White, yeah, Lou White. Okay, yes, it was Lou White, yeah. L-E-W White. He got some good material. Matter of fact, I think I got just about everything in his library, But he does give you a higher light, a higher understanding. But even there's a higher light than his books. But I think it's really good. Everybody should read it if you really want to be knowledgeable of the history of all of these different things. He does a really good job of that, right? But I think even Oahspe is a higher light than that, because it goes back a little bit further to where it actually takes you to the origin of like the pagan gods, not the pagan gods, but the actual true people that held those names, that now, today, when you hear those names, most of the world, you say, what's one of their names? You say a name like Thor, right? You say a name like Thor, and they're going to think you're talking about a Marvel movie. They ain't going to listen to you because they're lacking understanding. They don't have a higher light of who you're really talking about. No, we're talking about the actual true person, one-time human being who was here, who was completely in the line of light. He served the Father, and he had a good reign. Like he taught appropriately, right? But there came a time where somebody's like, Thor, y'all believe Thor? I'm gonna take on the name Thor, and then they just screw their name up. So all we know now, most of the world, when they hear it, they think about Marvel characters and evil people. You Thor, and what's another one? Thor, Osiris, Apollo, all of them. They took their name and they tarnished the name, and people who didn't know anything more than the false gods, They didn't have the higher light. Like the false guys, they teach everybody there's nobody higher than me. I am that, right? And these people don't have a higher knowledge than this. Okay, we got to bring a separation here. First of all, wake you up, right? Because even them, they separated themselves so long that they began to question, is there really a creator? We're us. We're going to die. We're going to come here. We get to do whatever and just kind of go back. It's crazy. There does have to be a separation, but then we have to mingle again just to make sure everybody is on the same page and not forgetting stuff, right? Because when you forget stuff, you forget there's a creator, man truly becomes selfish and turns within himself and walk around, I am God. I mean, you will be one day. There's truth in that statement, but you ain't reached that status yet. You ain't reached that status yet. You know, we still got some time. You got a whole lot of time before you reach that level where you can actually walk around and proudly say, I'm a God or a goddess, right? But we'll let y'all have we'll let you have it now, right? Go ahead and practice it, right? We'll let you practice it and get you in the habit of practicing higher light. Okay. Where was I at? Next day. Oh, verse 19. Okay. Thus ended the second day, and so complete was the glorious work that every soul had sworn a solemn oath to forsake the earth and the lower heaven forever. Then God announced for the third day the display of Ethereal power, and the people were so bewildered already that a child could have led the most stubborn of all. For thus Jehovah created man, who had becoming much conceited in himself, turneth right about and maketh himself a submissive fool. That's good. And the people were so bewildered already that a child could have led the most stubborn of all. For thus Jehovah created man, who, having become much conceited in himself, turneth right about and maketh himself a submissive fool. So on the third day, the Etherians displayed their power over the elements of atmosphere, making corporal substances and dissolving them at pleasure, making light into darkness and darkness into light, weaving fabrics and making diadems and precious stones, gathering viands from the essence of things evaporated up from the earth, or creating food, food like the smell, because spirits are, we can say they're fed or they're nourished by, we can say the smell of things, right? Which is why when you see in the Old Testament, they're doing sacrifices and offering it to the false god who they thought was true God, right? You slaughter animals and stuff, and that's how they're nourished, right? There's a telltale sign that when they were in the flesh, they were meat eaters too, right? And if you die a meat eater for a period of time, that's going to be your food, right? And that's why spirits that are of a degraded form, they hang around slaughterhouses, they hang around things that are dirty, people, fast food places that are in the business of making animal sandwiches. You know, that's what they live on until they get the higher light in their development. Then they live off the essence of those things that give life, like the plant kingdom, fruits and veggies and stuff like that, right? Their spirit becomes lighter. They're no longer violating the laws of life. They're not carrying death in their body and their spirit, you know, and they can rise to higher levels of understanding and knowledge. But you can't rise higher when you have death living on the inside of you. You got to get rid of all the death so that you can become light and light, right? You got to have two kinds of lights. Like you got to be light as in weight, heavy light. And then when you get light, you get light. When you get light, you get light. I like that. Okay. Listen, verse 20. I'll read that again. And the people were so bewildered already that a child could have led the most stubborn of all. For thus Jehovah created man, who having become much conceited in himself, turneth right about and maketh himself a submissive fool. So on the third day, the Etherians displayed their power over the elements of the atmosphere, making corporal substances and dissolving them at pleasure, making light into darkness and darkness into light, weaving fabrics and making diadems and precious stones, gathering viands from the essence of things evaporated up from the earth, founding plateaus and temples in heaven, making ships and chains and musical instruments, and lastly, the Etherian marshals, with 500,000 Etherians, turned the winds and sent a heavy shower of rain down to the corporal earth. And all the while, the musicians of the host of Su were discoursing music, the sweetness and grandeur of which surpassed the atmospherians so far that they were as nothing. So because of the exhibition of great power and wisdom, the third day had changed the fortunes and aspirations of every man and woman in the lower heaven. And they were running hither and thither, pleading to be taken as apprentices or servants, pledging themselves to do anything required of them. Neither would they be put off, demanding that half of the next day should be given to initiating them as real beginners in the second resurrection. Ain't that something? That's wisdom. First of all, I ain't leaving this math wrong. Ain't no higher heaven than me. I'm God. I'm the captain now, right? They go down there. Oh, we just got to use a little bit of wisdom on that stubbornness. Come on. Let's get this party started. Y'all play the music. You get the refreshments going. Where Tina at? Girl, going over here, do your thing. And we just gonna do our thing and let them observe us, right? They got so bewildered and wowed at the glory of what was going on in their present. They're like, wait a minute. This kingdom, I want it's not. Give me that. Make me a servant. Help teach me. Like on Dr. Strange. Teach me. Hold on. Verse 23, page 91. So because of the exhibition of great power and wisdom, the third day had changed the fortunes and aspiration of every man and woman in the lower heaven. They were running hither and thither, pleading to be taken as apprentices or servants, pledging themselves to do anything required of them. Neither would they be put off, demanding that half of the next day should be given to initiating them as real beginners in the second resurrection. Now, that's how you raise somebody up. You got to make them think it's their own idea so they can take responsibility for themselves. You don't have to force them to do nothing. We're just going to inspire them to do a little bit of something, right? Sometimes I got to inspire my children to clean their rooms. Oh, get down here and cook dinner. Dinner ready? Almost, baby. Got that room clean? No. Well, hey, everybody can eat when your room is clean. Let them get hungry enough. Mom, I'm going to take a picture. Can I see you? You want to come look at my room? I'll be up there in a minute. Well, I'm ready to eat. Can I see your phone? I'm going to take a picture of my room. I'm going to snap pictures. Like y'all see my kids. Let me see your phone. I'm using my phone. They went and got my iPad. I'm going to take a picture. We're going to take a video and show you our room. Remember, they had that little pencil under his bed. I showed it to y'all. Look. Because I forgot what I was going to get them that day. And so they was helping each other. And we're going to help Bella clean her room. Bella's like, it's too much stuff. I was saying, you pulled out all the stuff. Go get it all up. And so when her brothers, if I say, well, ain't nobody going to eat, y'all learn how to help one another. I know you didn't do that, and that's not yours, and you cleaned up your stuff. But if you see them struggling a little bit, she done pulled out everything in her closet. She done took all the clothes off the hangers, plain dress up, right? Learn how to help one another out. Show sis a little bit of grace. Show her how to put it back up. Show her how to play with a couple things and put it back. She want to get something else, put it back so she don't have such a big mess, right? Bella, clean your room, right? Instead of hollering and screaming, Bella, clean your room. Bella sitting out there, oh, I ain't in there. So when everybody get hungry enough, they start helping one another. And next thing you know, Bella's room is spick and span and clean like I like it. Look, hold on. Who said? Hold on. Who was that? Tony Great House. Shalom, shalom. Oh, Brian Jogi. You say you be doing that. So this is exactly what they did. We ain't gonna make them do nothing. We just gonna inspire them to consider their ways, and maybe they should just let me just test it out, right? and they come, here they come, and you just doing your thing. You ain't had to go in there and beat them across the head and make them do this. That's not being a good leader. That's not good leadership. A good leader is somebody that can inspire somebody to do something of their own accord because they see the benefits of joining in and being a part of this thing that's going on, right? Those are traits of a true leader. People do it on the fire, making threats. We ain't gonna do that. You want to eat? I'm gonna cook a feast. Smell it good. Oh, yeah, I'm getting a plate. So you want to partake? Oh, did you get your room clean? You get your room clean? Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna send your plate. Can't sit down until it's done. And they'll stay in there. Why? And sometimes I'll let the other ones come sit and eat. Sometimes it's pretty harsh, especially when I got to do that to Bella. Like, to see her face, and it almost kills me to have to do that. But I want her to begin to, I know she only 6, but she understands some things. She knows right from wrong. Sometimes she do stuff on purpose, right? So I'm going to show you, you just can't holler out and scream the boys and this. I'm going to scream somebody's name because now when they're playing a game or something and they don't want to let her play, she'll just scream bloody murder and scream out one of their names like they were doing something. One time she screamed out Zay's name and Zay was in there with me. I'm like, Zay, stop it. I'm like, Zay was like, see, she be lying. I'm like, Bella, what you scream Zay's name for? And she come in the room giggling. Oh, there you are, Zay. Well, I was looking for him. No, because you said stop it, Zay. He said, see, she be getting me in trouble. And I don't even be doing nothing. So you got to pay attention to those things. Yeah, with them little ones. But sometimes I do have to show a little bit of tough love. Let the boys, come on, fellas, come on in here, get to the table. But Mom, Tootie, go get your stuff up, right? Yeah, your kids is different these days. Boy, surprise, yo, look, straight shenanigans in here all day long, right? Sometimes you got to show that tough love where ain't nobody eating until it all get done and they help one another. But then once they do that and the little one gets hip, and this is why I had to do it. That's why I say it broke my heart. I let the boys come in and eat because it get to a point where Mama gonna make y'all help me anyway. Now you begin to take advantage of the system a little bit, sis, at age 6, and you think I'm gonna make them help you clean up your mess. Boys, come on in here and get to this table. Little girl, get back up there to that room. If you want to eat and you want to join us, go clean it. That's the requirements for lunch today. If you don't, then I guess you got to wait till the next meal. And sometimes that sounds kind of harsh, right? And that's not something I do all the time, you know. But if you having like issues with food, don't do that, right? You just got to use wisdom and your home's dynamic and what works for y'all. Oh, if you got snacks and stuff, well, you're going to miss snack today. And most of the time I'll do it with a snack or something that I get. Then it's like, oh, well, why they go get an ice cream? Well, because I said if you get this done, then this is the reward for that. My kids, yesterday, remind me of Selah when he played that little clip, Pine Saw Heaven. My 10-year-old son, Josiah, he was talking to Isaiah. Now, when we're doing our schoolwork, we're supposed to be doing our schoolwork, Isaiah sometimes is like, I hate school, I don't want to do it. And yesterday I thought to myself, I'm like, you know what? If I don't help this child raise up, he's going to be in danger of becoming a false god, a tyrant out here in these streets. And I already told y'all, Isaiah is my child. If somebody came to my door and said, ma'am, your son Joshua just walked up to me and slapped me, I wouldn't believe that. That's not Joshua's nature. That's not him. But if they came to my door like, ma'am, Isaiah just hauled off and slapped the piss out of me, I'd be like, Isaiah, you ain't got to explain to me and try to convince me that he did that. I know he done did that. With just, you ain't got, I know my son. I know my son, right? So he showed that same attitude sometimes while doing schoolwork. And so he was like, well, because yesterday, I was like, you know what? I'm going to treat this because I'm homeschooling 4 of them. I had to literally treat them like business appointments, right? It's crazy because I'm doing all of it together. But I'm like, you know what? The time that I have to spend with you, so I'm not trying to do everybody at the same time, because that wasn't working for me. I needed a little bit more structure and order. So I gave everybody schedules, right? Everybody got a schedule, and they got this like banker's file box, what we keep their school stuff in, and on it they're clear, right? So what I did, everybody's schedule. Okay, this is your schedule. This is what you should be doing. The independent work for these time, and these time. But Josh, with you, from here to here, this is our appointment, right? Every day, daily. School day, me and you right here, and we'll help. I'm going to help you with those things that you actually need my help with. Everything else here is independent. You can take care of all of that yourself, right? So he does his independent work while I take on my next client or the next child at their allotted time. And that's been working for like the last 2 days since I implemented. I was like, you know what? This is going to help make my day a lot better. But here come Isaiah's appointment. He was like, well, can you make me last? Do Bella. I want to go back to sleep. Boy, then that's pushing your time out from 12 to 1 with me. Let Bella go. I'm going to go back to sleep. You can't go to sleep, because if you take the last appointment of the day, that means by the time you get to me, all your independent work should be done, because school is done by 1 p.m. every day. Mom. He's like, well, I'm not going to do any of it at all. Not your appointment and not my independent work. Listen here, son. And here comes Josiah. Josiah is my 10-year-old. And I just bust up and started laughing. He said, Isaiah, when the weekend comes and we get rewarded with our Switches back, the Switch is the Nintendo video game, the handheld video games, if y'all didn't know. He said, you're not going to be able to join in the fun. And sometimes he get a little bit of proper because he like to crack jokes, right? He's a comedian. He said, when we get our Switches back and we get to play the games, guess what you're going to get? Skippy peanut butter. And the way he said it, I stopped what I was doing and I was hollering, screaming, laughing. Because when he said Skippy peanut butter, it reminded me, I just heard Denzel Washington's voice, Pine Saw Heaven. While we get rewards, you get Pine Saw Heaven for not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I was pretty much done for the day because they kept cracking on him. And so that just kind of just stuck for the rest of the night. And even when he came out, I was like, all right, Zane, I'm done with this little bit of stuff right here. Let's make up some of this time from earlier. And my son Josiah, he always shows up at the most opportune time to crack jokes, right? And he did it again. And Isaiah threw himself all over our bed. He was like, well, Mom, why do I have to do this? And Saya walked in. He said, what I tell you, boy? Skippy peanut butter. And then Isaiah said, he said, well, make it crunchy. All of y'all get out of my room. So that was hilarious. So I guess that's like the new thing. If somebody don't want to do what they want to do, hey, boy, we ain't going to say Pine Saw Heaven. We're going to say Skippy peanut butter. And they're going to know what that is. It means no heaven for you this weekend. No playing of the games. No free time. All this is going to stay locked up until you get your stuff done. Now, you can save it all to the end of the week, but you don't want to do that. You don't want to let your assignments pile up on you, right? Skippy peanut butter. We see what just happened with me. Letting the whole semester's work pile up on you, right? And I was about to get the crunchy kind. I hate crunchy peanut butter, right? But let it keep going. You can get tired of this. And Josh was like, I'm going to bring the spoon. They are hilarious. They're gonna be excellent comedians. They're getting the punchline to how you're supposed to tell a joke, right? So it's funny. Y'all, they crack me up. All right, let's finish this. Oh, y'all, we ain't even done with this chapter. Hold up, because we leaving out here at 8 o'clock. We might not be able to read but a page over here. Let me hurry up and finish this. This is a long chapter. I'm going to probably add too many stories. Okay, let's go back. Focus. Page 91, verse 20. And the people were so bewildered already that a child could not have led, And the people were so bewildered already that a child could have led the most stubborn of all. For thus Jehovah created man, who, having become much conceited in himself, turneth right about and making himself a submissive fool. I'm going. I know. You said we're leaving at 8.
We're leaving at, you guys starting already at 7:30. Is that what you wearing?
Yes.
You wearing that?
Okay, I can change, babe.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's finish this chapter. We got a couple more verses and then it's ended. It's 31 verses. We on verse 22. I'm sorry, 21. So on the third day, the Etherians displayed their power over the elements of the atmosphere, making corporeal substances and dissolving them at pleasure, making light into darkness and darkness into light, weaving fabrics and making diadems and precious stones, gathering viands from the essence of things evaporated up from the earth, founding plateaus and temples in heaven, making ships and chains and musical instruments. And lastly, the Etherian marshals, with 500,000 Etherians, turned the winds and sent a heavy shower of rain down to the corporal earth. And all the while, the musicians of the host of Su were discoursing music, the sweetness and grandeur of which surpassed the atmospherians so far that they were as nothing. So because of the exhibition of great power and wisdom, the third day had changed the fortunes and aspirations of every man and woman in the lower heaven, and they were running hither and thither, pleading to be taken as apprentices or servants, pledging themselves to do anything required of them. Neither would be put off, demanding that half of the next day should be given to initiating them as real beginners in the second resurrection. Then God spake to them, saying, Ye know not what ye speak. Behold, I have commanded ye for hundreds of years to put away your fine raiment and sparkling gems, and to begin adorning your souls, so as to become brides and bridegrooms of the great Spirit. But ye would not, but strove continually to adorn yourselves, forgetting to labor for those beneath you. Behold, now stand Jehovah's brides and bridegrooms before you. What is their worth compared to yours? Are they not plain? And are ye not decorated? But millions of voices rose up, saying, We will do whatever thou commandest, O God. There is no God like unto thee. Then God spake, saying, Hear me then further. This is to begin the second resurrection, to put away your jewels and diadems and ornaments, and above all things to forsake self, and henceforth labor for others who are beneath you. If ye do this in a brotherhood, ye are already beginning the second resurrection. Neither is there any other road to wisdom or power. This is so good. I love this. And again, the multitude cried out, We will do anything. We have faith. It's like, well, okay, what we got to do? Okay, let's help you get this done, right? And the multitude cried out, We will do anything. We have faith. And God answered them, saying, Suffer then a few to be initiated on tomorrow, but be ye patient and of good judgment, slow to resolve, but firm forever. So on the fourth day in the morning, behold, more than 100 million spirits had abandoned their showy raiment and stood arrayed in white, devoid of jewels and diadems, ready to be initiated and take the vows of the second resurrection as above. And accordingly, new music was prepared, and the procession and ceremonies so arranged that the greatest possible glory would be manifested. Canopies were stretched overhead, and arches and columns on the borders of the march, decorated with flowers and vines, and amidst these, half concealed, were nestled the response singers who were to speak for and with the initiates. But concealed from view and afar off were bells and explosives, which were the morning signals. And the glad and solemn sound of the immortal voice came upon the souls of millions, impatient to vow themselves to a new life. And God and his host welcomed them with great joy. So grand and imposing were their ceremonies that ere midday another 100 million came, robed in white, to be initiated also. Neither desired the people any other entertainment. And so the initiations were continued on the 5th day, and yet another 100 million applied, also robed in white. And this was continued on the 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th days. And lo and behold, 1,000 million angels had taken the vows of the second resurrection, meaning they have of their own accord saying, we are going to unhook ourselves from mortals. We ain't going to lead them astray. We want to come learn more, simply because of what your mind had just been amazed at seeing. Those, the power and the glory of those of higher understanding. Give us some of that. What we take? What take it all? Oh no, we don't want this filth, these earrings, beautiful hair, all this stuff. Plain. We ain't got to know. We don't want none of that. Teach me. Right? All right, y'all. So that is it for today. That's all we can get done. My stories have taken up most of the time, and we can't get the field guide to the spirit world because we got to head out of here. And I want to wear my jeans and my jacket and my jank, but I guess I got to go get cute. And so I got to get out here. I got to change my outfit and stuff. So, but thank y'all for hanging out. It is December the 13th, 2022, day 287 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1,307. And we read a little bit more of the book of Sue, pages 89 to 91. Tomorrow, if we get time, we'll get back here to the field guide to the spirit world. But everybody, thank y'all for hanging out. It's a couple of people I think that came in. Prince, shalom, shalom. Madeem, Ali, shalom. Key, hey girl, hey. And everybody else that came in is hanging out in the background. Levon, did I say hey to Levon? Levon, hey girl, hey. All right, y'all, we out of here. Father, we thank you for wisdom on multiple levels and how to lead people and not force them to want to do better. We thank you for the wisdom to teach them so that they can choose that they want to do better and be better. All right, y'all. I love y'all. I see y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Nene, hey girl, hey Tiffany, hey girl, hey, miss you too. All right, y'all. Love y'all. Bruce.